Namaste and welcome to Dragonfly Cookery and Knives. In this video, I'm very excited to introduce a new company that's come on the scene in 2018. So they're only a couple years old as a company and starting up their production of quality knives. Now, I must add that this company has really taken the industry by storm in the sense that the quality of the product that they're coming out the gate with is very high in standard. It's right in par with a lot of the companies that are more seasoned, have been making knives for a long period of time. So, but before I get into who they are and what they're doing, I am going to just kind of give a little setting up here for this introduction. Excuse me for the frog in my throat. And I'm going to talk about, I'm going to compare them to a company that I have a great deal of admiration and respect for, that I have followed since the 1980s when they first came out. And so, and talk a little bit about how they started and the quality and how you could see that quality from the beginning all the way to the current day of the quality that they're making. And in that contrast, I'm going to compare this new company. So bear with me. I'm not trying to belittle either company, but hopefully in this comparison showing for those of you who are collecting knives and using knives and are thinking about a new knife that you may be wanting to purchase for your kit, for camping, backpacking, this is definitely a company that you should be looking at, and both companies that I am going to be mentioning in this video are excellent. They make excellent knives that would be a tremendous addition to any kit that you would want to put together for backpacking, survival, hunting, or if you're in the military and you're looking for a good knife as a tool for your kit. Both companies are excellent to look at and think about for their products. But to start off with, I'm going to show you the first knife that I had acquired. Probably, it's one among the first knives that I acquired as a kid. And I think it was maybe about 11 or 12 years old when I acquired this knife. And I was on vacation with my family. We went to Florida to visit my uncle and aunt, and they had a beach cottage in St. Petersburg, Florida. And that's where we were staying. We got to stay in that beach cottage, and you could walk to the ocean. It was close enough, and I did that, and was fishing one day off the pier there, and I thought it would be pretty cool to have a knife that I could learn to fillet a fish with and to process my fish with. So I picked up this knife on the pier. Now, it's not some fantastic or high-end, high-quality knife, but it is a knife that has, it was made well enough to where it lasted me from the age of 11 or 12, which is roughly in the late 60s, all the way to now, and I'm 62 years old, and I can still use this knife for taking it backpacking and processing my fish with. It's got a stainless steel blade, probably a 440 or maybe a high carbon 420, but it's not considered a high-end steel by any means. It's not very thick, has a little bit of flex but not a lot, but it will service a person very well in processing their fish, especially down at the ocean. It's not going to corrode on you or rust on you very easily. It has like a maybe an aluminum or a steel bolster. It's a pine handle probably, or another softer wood, light wood, and it has the tang that goes all the way at the end and is peened. Excuse me. And this is a very good knife, and it has lasted me for most of my life. So was this a good purchase for me? Yes, and it only cost me about maybe $8, $10 at the very most. And this one is put out by what's the company? It's Suncoast, and the FK stands for fillet knife, and it's the 6-inch version. And it came with an excellent quality leather scabbard that has lasted all this time. It hasn't cracked on me, um, and the knife hasn't cut through it or anything. It holds the knife very well. Has a little retention strap, a little belt carry, kind of a dangler, so it's vertical carry. I've oftentimes put it in my backpack and taken it with me backpacking. So it has been a very useful little knife. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is if you get a knife that is well made and um, and you take care of it, it should last you your lifetime and the lifetime of your descendants. If I pass this on to my son, it will last him his lifetime, and he can definitely hand it to his son or daughter, and they would be able to use this knife throughout their lifetime. So it should last for a very, very long time if it's a good quality knife. And this isn't a high-end knife. Like I said, it's a very low-cost manufacturing knife that has been built well and has lasted me, till into my 60s. So, I just wanted to show that if a knife is made well, it'll last you. And when they're made to the quality of the two companies that I'm going to be showing you today, and in particular this one is starting out right out the gate, then you will know that it should last you your entire life and the life of many generations from your life. So with that in mind, the next company I'm going to show you to give a contrast is a company that was started by Lynn Thompson. I've already talked about it in previous videos about him and about his company, but the company is Cold Steel. When Lynn first started out, he was a martial artist who was frustrated with knives constantly breaking on him. So he decided to go to the drawing board and build or design his own knife. With that, he had in mind of not just doing it for himself, but also manufacturing these knives to this quality of standard that he had in mind. And so he approached Camillus, which is a knife company based out of New York. It's a U.S.-based company. They made the knives here in the U.S., and they were also one of the companies that bid for the contract for a fighting knife for the military, and they were one of the many that did get the contract or did get a contract with the military, and was producing a knife that is now known as a K-bar. Now, K-bar is a company that was manufacturing for the military during World War II, and has been for probably all the way up to now. But the style of fighting knife that they designed became known as the Marine K-bar, and yet it was they were mainly making it for the Army as well as the Marines and the Air Force and others, various different styles of knives. And so was Camillus, and so was Ontario Knives, and a few other companies. I think Case was one of the ones that was making a K-bar type knife for the military. So all of these knife companies were doing mass productions of this style of knife, which is, you will look at it and say, oh, that's a K-bar, but this actually was made by Camillus. Now, the reason why I'm showing you this knife is it's a very well-made knife, very solid, excellent. This wasn't a World War II vintage one. This actually was made during the 70s and probably 80s style. And I don't know that Camillus still makes this, because Camillus went bankrupt, and when they did, new owners purchased the brand name and started manufacturing knives which were being made and still are being made in China. And I don't recall seeing this as part of their offerings now, but at the time, and I purchased this back in the 80s, when Camillus was still manufactured in New York City, and they were using, this one is made with 1095 high carbon steel, excellent quality, very solid knife. And so they were, and they have been well known and well respected up until then. So for Lynn Thompson to approach them and to ask them to make his knives, this is the Magnum Tanto, which I purchased probably in 1987, 1988, roughly around there. And this particular, or it might have even been closer to 1990. So maybe 1989 is when I purchased this. And this is the larger version of the first one that he came out with, and the first one was a 5-inch version of this, so just imagine this blade being shortened. This one has a oval suba, where the original had the bolster handguard, which is a single handguard, the finger guard that came down at the bottom. But otherwise, the handle was identical with the kind of a pointed butt cap that was made for striking. Remember, Lin was a martial artist, so he was thinking of it in terms of martial arts, as well as being a knife that you could use every day. So when he approached Camillus to make it, they were making it out of a 440 stainless steel, which he called it a 400 series. He didn't want to divulge too much about the steel, because I don't think he wanted us to know that it was just like every 440 stainless steel. He wanted to kind of brand it to be a little bit different. Now, granted, the way that he heat treated and tempered the blade, the thickness, the style of tanto that he used and chose in his design, the handle being a full tang encapsulated in a craton handle, which he was one of the first knife makers to introduce craton as it's kind of a rubberized grip, very soft and good for the hand, but it was one that was impervious to the elements, you could take it in extreme cold or extreme heat. You could dip this thing in motor oil and pick it up, and it'll still be tacky enough to hold in your hand. It wouldn't slide out of your hand in use. So it was a very good and superior material and great choice for a knife that you're going to use every day, or in martial arts, or in combat if you're a soldier, or if you're a camper and you're using it for skinning or hunting. You definitely, sometimes your hands get bloody, and it's not something you want the knife to slide out of your hand. You want to have good dexterity and control. So these were the things that Lin was thinking about, and Camillus was able to manufacture for them. So it was a very high-end quality. Now, part of Lin's advertising was he would take that new tanto style knife that he had made, and he would take pictures of it stabbing through a car door, or taking it and piercing it through the hood of a car. He would cut rope with it. He would cut all kinds of things to show that his knife wasn't going to break on you, that you could trust it and depend on it. And he would come out and say, "I make the best knife." And a lot of times that would get people's attention and make them think, question as to whether it really was the best knife or not. It was a little bit of negative advertising that was very effective for him. But this particular one, again, late 1980s, came with a leather scabbard, very well-made leather scabbard. My little Velcro retention strap has since come apart from use and carry. But this was an excellent knife, and it served me really, really well, and an excellent product. The quality was very good. Now, when he came out with the Magnum Tanto, at that point, Camillus had already gone bankrupt, so he was already starting to branch out and find other manufacturers. This particular one was made in Siki, Japan, so which at one point all of Cold Steel's was being made there. Another design that he came out, and this is an early design, and the reason why I'm showing this to you is to show you an evolution of quality and how knife makers over years of perfecting their craft will come up with even a better knife. Now, this one is a popular knife that is still being made by Cold Steel. This one was actually the first year that they came out with this, and it's the SRK. This particular one is made out of carbon 5 steel that he was kind of coined. It actually is like a 1080 high carbon steel. This one was probably made in Japan. I won't swear it was, but yet it's a quarter-inch thick stock. It's a full tang in this encapsulated craton handle, and it is very, very useful, very good. Keeps an excellent edge in this carbon 5, which I like it very much. And it came with this Kydex, not Kydex, I'm sorry, this Kedora sheet. Now it's a thick and solid, so it's probably leather with the Kedora over it and stitched. And as you can see, I bought this probably in the early 1990s, and it's held up extremely well. I've taken this camping with me lots of times. Really like it. It is ambidextrous in that the knife styles allows for you to change the orientation of it. A lot of the knife manufacturers of that time weren't even thinking of that. So this was something that Lin really thought about the user. It has a strap that can swivel, and you could tuck it under there and bring it over to the left carry orientation if you wish. Just simple scabbard, but very useful, very good, and it kept the cost low, which was part of what Lin was after, is he wanted to produce this particular knife for the military and for the general user and make it affordable for everyone. And he does that. He did it very well, again, back in the earlier days. Now, when you look at his knives today, you'll see, like, for instance, this particular knife, which has his patented scabbard that he now puts and includes with all of his belt knives, and it's a hard plastic, probably polypropylene type of plastic. It has a locking system with great retention, like this this handle strap doesn't hold it in at all. It just keeps it from having handle slap when you're carrying it on your belt coming against you. But it is MOLLE compatible. In other words, you could add straps to it and attach it to your gear or wear it on your belt in a variety of different ways. And you could also remove it, the dangler here, and change it for horizontal carry or vertical carry as you wish. Very, very good and very excellent scabbard design, and this is where they've gone to this day. So you're talking about from the 1980s all the way to probably the early 21st century, the early 2000s, when he started coming out with his Secure X. So, and now it's the standard. So this is what you get now when you purchase one of his knives. Now this one is the Drop Forge series, so it's a completely single, full steel blade, and it's a high carbon steel. I think it's 5160 if I'm not mistaken. So this is a very excellent steel. It's been coated, very sharp, very useful, not too heavy surprisingly. So it's probably skeletonized in the handle a little bit, and it has these kind of a textured grip inserts in this handle. When they first came out with this, it was completely solid steel without that, and the handle wasn't skeletonized at all. But excellent package, very good, and this really shows the development or the evolution of this company and the quality that they're doing. I showed you this Tonto, one of their newer Tonto series, which is this one. I think it's called the Warcraft Tonto. This is made out of 3V high carbon steel or tool steel that is considered one of those super steels. So they've upped the game quite a bit with the quality of steel that they're using, along with some very interesting design patterns. This one has the G10 handle and your Secure X scabbard with the dangler and also your various different carry options. So this really shows the evolution. And this one came out quite a few years back, probably about 2004, maybe 2005 if I'm not mistaken. But very, very good, very excellent quality knife. So they've been around for a long time. They're making their knives in a variety of different places. Chiefly, one of their main manufacturer companies is Taiwan. And you're getting, if this is manufactured in Taiwan with 3V steel, you're getting an outstanding, excellent quality knife. And Taiwan is one of those countries that their knife industry is putting out some of the best knives that you will find anywhere in the world. So they're very, very good in their quality, in their temper, and not just the quality, but to the consistency. You'll always get the same quality product every time from Cold Steel because they have very high quality standards, and they're able to maintain that and do that in Taiwan, which really speaks well for the Taiwanese knife manufacturers. They have very, very high standards. Now, why am I saying that? Is because this next company that I am going to be spending the rest of this video talking about is Work Tuff Gears, which is a Taiwanese-based company. They started in 2018. It's a family-owned business. It's a small family-owned business, so they have, all the family members are involved in this. But they're coming to their new company with 20 years of experience in the knife manufacturing world. Very likely they could have been working for Cold Steel at one time, or other knife makers that are making it. And like I said, they've learned the high standard. And what's also interesting about Taiwan is they're using a lot of the modern equipment that are available to the knife industry. And which means, and I'm going to kind of elaborate and talk a little bit more about that in what they do. For instance, they have a knife design, and I'll talk about a very well-known and well-respected American manufacturing company that is Bark Rivers Knives, and Mike Stewart will take a lot of his designs, put it in CAD, which is a computer software that's good for engineering, and allows you to take a design and plot it out in great precision. With that, he will take it and print it out through a 3D printer, and he'll have a 3D printed version of his knife with handle and everything, and get an idea of how it was going to feel, what it should look like. With that, they will take it and they will cut out the steel. They'll choose the steel, cut out the steel, and in Mike Stewart's case, a lot of hands get put on it, not so much in machines, as they do have people that sit there at the belt grinders and grind and shape the blade, and so it becomes a production blade that's almost handmade. It's a little bit of both. So in the case with Work Tuff Gears, in my opportunity to meet and get to know one of the family members, who's, I guess, one of their chief designers, and also is their front man. He's the guy that you're going to see at knife shows. He's the guy that you're going to speak to when you're ordering the knife, and if you have any questions about it. And he's a gentleman that I got to know over the past year, and he's a very knowledgeable person, and he's a guy who actually gets out there and goes camping and uses these knives. So the knowledge that he has applied and his family has applied to the making and building of their knives is exceptional. These are guys who use knives, love knives, and very much like Mike Stewart, who is always using the knives that he designs and makes, whether it's in collaboration with other designers or his own design or his son's design. So, and Mike Stewart's company is a family-owned business. It's a small family-owned business with, and they have their small group of employees that are like family to them. So Lynn Victor Lynn is the gentleman's name, the young man that I'm talking about, and I'm sure that it's the same for him, that the family works in there, and probably a small group of employees that work with them that are like family to them. So, but what he'll do is he'll take that knife and he'll design it in CAD, and then he'll take it and print it out, and he'll also print out the handles and get the handles just perfect, and then he'll go to manufacturing and he'll laser cut the blades and he'll hand grind them and so forth. So the quality is excellent. It's outstanding. The first knife that I purchased of them, it was one that I watched on YouTube when John, the wingman, was had gotten it and did a review on it, and what he had stated about it really piqued my interest, because here he introduced it as a new company that's coming out with a product that is just, it's a A plus plus straight out the gate with this first knife. And there was a couple other knife designs that they had done even before this one, but this one is what is this one called? Bear with me for a moment. I'm going to look at my notes. And it is the, this one is the Lamigo XL. Now it has a high flat grind with a convex edge. It's slightly recurved, and a drop point, which I like very much. It's a wide enough blade that makes it a very relevant chopping knife as well as a good slicer. They have put on a G10 handle with a bow drill divots on both sides. It's full tank, skeletonized. You can remove it has like a Colby screws, so you can take the handle off, and if you wanted to put it on a pole or whatever, or if you wanted to change the handles. However, one thing I will say about Victor Lin and his design capabilities is that he understands every aspect of the knife. A lot of people will just come out with a blade. A lot of knife designers will come out with a blade, and the handle is very secondary. This is not the case with Victor Lin. Victor Lin understands, and I believe his family understands this, that the comfort of the handle is every bit as important as the quality of the steel that you use and the grind that you put on the blade. So all in all, they nailed it. Yeah, that's all I can say is they nailed it. The steel that they used wasn't really a low-end steel that's been around for a long, long time and has been used. A lot of times you'll see the first knives that are made by a company will be usually like around the 420 or the 440, and those are good steels. There's nothing wrong with them, and especially when they're heat treated well. There's like, Buck Knives, for instance, uses the 420 high carbon steel, but they have dialed in their heat treat and their hardening of the steel to a perfection, to where that knife is a very, very excellent knife and a great field knife. Well, what they did is they came out with pretty much two steels that they predominantly use. One of them is a Bowler K110, which is a D2 tool steel, and they use that, and they I believe they take it to a sub-zero quench to help harden the blade and make it not too brittle. So, and when they do that, they try to keep the Rockwell rating around 57 to 59, which is excellent. It's not too hard to where it's going to be brittle and break on you, but it's also not going to be too soft that it won't hold an edge. So they made it so that you could actually sharpen this out in the field if you needed to. Now this particular one uses the other steel that they're using. Right out the gate, this is the two steels that they use, the D2 tool steel and this Japanese SK85 high carbon steel. It's equivalent to a 1085 here in the States, which is an excellent steel, especially for a knife that you're going to bang around a lot, and you're going to take out, and you want to use on a variety of different materials. Cutting wood, skinning game, or doing or processing your game if you're a hunter. And it's an excellent, excellent tool. It's a tough tool, but it's also can bend easily as far as allowing for shock. You're not going to snap this blade very easily, if at all. And with the tempering that he does, you do get some good bend. If you were put this in a tree stump and you were moving it back and forth, you'll get a little bit of bend in it, and yet it'll spring right back to its original shape, which is a good indicator of the quality of good tempering and heat treat. So this is an excellent, excellent knife. Now, like I said about the handle, now this is a a very well designed G10 handle that they have. I think they actually print it out of their 3D printer and shape it and get the texturing just right. And it's a perfect fit. There's no hot spots on this handle when you hold it in your hand. It's got that handshake grip that I often talk about. Very, very comfortable, very good. And there's, the tang is a full tang but skeletonized, so the weight of this blade is right where it should be, and that is right at your finger guard. You can get up here and make that purchase, and the balance of the blade is right where it needs to be for allowing you to do some very fine detailed work. I also like the way the contour and everything, along with these little divots here in the handle, which allows for a pinch grip. Now, a pinch grip is good if you're trying to slice something very thin, whether it be meat or whether it be skinning, like let's say an elk, you're skinning the elk, you can get right in there and you can get great dexterity of it. One of the things I like about this that when I hold my knife and I'm thinking about how I'm going to use that knife and how I'm going to hold it, I want to see if the design accommodates that. And this one really, really does it. You take your two, your ring finger and your pinky, and lock it right behind the finger guard there. Bring your middle finger right in the finger choil. Place your index finger right there on the spine, which is a 90-degree spine, great for throwing sparks off a ferro rod, but also gives you a good flat surface to have good control and dexterity. And with that, you can get in there and you can very precisely do your skinning, slicing any meat very thin, or vegetables if you want. It gives you great control, especially if you're in the kitchen and you're chopping up your onions or whatever. This just, is so well thought out. Brand new company coming out the gate, and this is the quality that they're putting out. That is every bit as good a quality as this blade that it took years to get to in design, in application, in materials, and everything. He's starting out the gate using top-notch steel of this Japanese SK85 high carbon steel, and with great heat treat and tempering, and coming out with G10 handles scales, which are really good, very user friendly, and they don't slide out of your hand too easily. In the future, where does he have room to grow? Maybe putting micarta handles on it. G10's outstanding. Micarta might give you a little bit more tackiness if it was wet in your hand. But other than that, I've used this knife. My hand's gotten sweaty and never wanted to come out of my hand. So it's very, very, very good. Now, this is a good all-around camp tool. You can take it out and use it in the field, and for many, many choices, from chopping wood to building a shelter, doing some fine whittling, hunting with, and it also is a great survival knife, especially with the bow drill divot. If I was taking this and carrying it on my side, and I was on a day hike, let's say, and I slipped and broke my leg and I'm stuck, and I have to wait for somebody to come rescue me, and maybe it's late in the evening, and I needed to build a shelter real quick, and maybe a little fire, I could do that and build it with a friction fire, because I got this bow drill divot right here, so I can prepare a nice little survival area until I can be found. So this is an outstanding knife, very well thought out. Now, again, like I said, he thinks about the overall package. This is straight out the gate. This is a company that's only 2 years old, and they're already, they don't bother, giving you. We're going to start off with a nylon sheath to keep the cost down. We're going to come right out with the best sheath possible that you would want, and that is for this Kydex sheath. Kydex is form fitted to this knife perfectly. Gives you a little thumb ramp so you can push off and pull it out. This particular setup, they put a dangler on it, which you can take it and move it to left hand or right hand carry. You can make it horizontal or vertical. There's some lashing points. You can add material to your scabbard. Has a drain hole already thought out and put in, and keeps this knife very light. So right off the bat, how much would this cost? I'll tell you, this one right here will cost you around a little over $200, if not more, maybe closer to $300. It does come in different blades lengths. You know, you can get the Magnum style with a 12-inch blade all the way down to a 5-inch blade. This one is the 7-inch blade, and I think it goes for roughly about $235 on Amazon, maybe a little bit more. I haven't priced it recently. Where this one you can get for $130 on Amazon. Now, this particular model, I just looked on Amazon, and it is their production run has already been sold out. But what happens is Victor Lin will do a run until it sells out, and then he'll come back and redo it again. So this is most likely going to return again. It's a very popular design, and you can purchase it on his website at worktoughgears.com, or you can find it on Amazon. Now, I'll briefly go over the next two knives because they have all the same features that these do that I had purchased from him. This one I like. It's a great little EDC knife, and this is called the Tayal, or Tayal, I think I'm pronouncing it right. And it is actually taken from a traditional style knife that's used in Taiwan. And it's what we would call a trail point. It has a nice up curve point, which makes it great for slicing and for skinning. This is a great little useful knife, and again, it has that Japanese, what is it, the SK85 high carbon steel. It has the same rock wool rating, roughly between 56 to 58, which makes it very good for edge retention and also for resharpening out in the field. I've used this, I've carried it around as an EDC knife. I really like it a lot. Again, that handle, very ergonomic, nice palm swell. G10, this one I got is the neon green with the black, which is beautiful, and I put my little lanyard on it, but it usually will come with a lanyard. You know, when I get a knife, I have to personalize it. So, and this is really great. Now, it did come with a Cutlery belt dangler, and I like it a lot. I had to repurpose it for another knife that I'm going to introduce in the next video. But this particular one, so I put the what is it called? It's a secure tack, I think is what it's called. It's designed to allow you belt carry. You can put it on a strap on your gear, so it gives you multiple carry uses. I put it in the horizontal belt carry mode, but you could also put it vertical. It's very good, and all of his knives now come with this. When they first came out, that was the only feature that probably wasn't always, it might be different on each knife. Like in this particular one, you have the Kydex belt dangler here, which gives you different orientations as well. Excellent, excellent knife. You know, same excellent quality as this knife. There's nothing less than this as far as the steel used, the materials, everything is exactly the same. It's just the size. This one sold and sells right now on Amazon for $99. If you're a Prime member with Amazon, you don't pay the shipping. So you could get it with free shipping for 99 bucks plus tax, and that's it. $99 for this knife, and the quality that you're getting is every bit as a $200 to $300 knife. Out the door, out the gate. This is great. Now, this one has a very small finger choil. I have small hands and thin fingers, so I can get in there and do whittling and stuff. It's no problem for me. Somebody with a little bigger hands might not want to use that little finger choil. It's really there more for allowing for sharpening. You have a starting and stopping point, so it's really good. Can you get in there and get good dexterity without that little finger choil? Absolutely. You get right in there and you can index it and get great control. So all in all, it's 100% winner. I really love this knife. They did you know, it's just they got it right. Everything about it is 100%. You can't improve on that. Yeah, you can put maybe a super steel like a 3V or maybe some of the super stainless steels. That might be something that later down the road they might want to do a version of this knife. But the knife as is, the steel and everything, top notch. The last one I'm going to show you of theirs in this video is going to be, I think this is the Lanzeta, if I'm pronouncing it right. Let me look at my cheat sheet here and make sure that I'm, this one, yeah, the Lanzeta. And when I first saw this, Gideon Tactical was doing a review on it, and you know, I love recurves, and when I saw that blade, I thought, man, that's sweet, that's wicked. So I had to save up some pennies to get it. It's not terribly expensive, but it was one that right at the time I just didn't have the budget for, and also it sold out, and sold out very quickly. So I had to wait for a new production run, which they did, and I was able to acquire this. Fantastic knife. Again, the same steel, that SK85 Japanese high carbon steel. Again, heat treat is exactly the same, so it's a 56 to 58 Rockwell rating. Very nice belly, good point, and I like that that little bit of a curve on the it's got a high, like almost a high saber or flat grind that comes down to a convex edge. But this little curve here allows for a good draw cut if you're going to create, like let's say a bow, for your bow drill, you would want a flat piece of wood and be able to get that divot in and start doing your friction heat. You could create that with this, as well as creating a bow for archery and hunting if you're out in a survival environment where you had to create some of the tools that you would use to survive. This could do it. You could build a shelter with it. You could, you know, it's really sexy and wicked, very modern looking, but it's also very functional blade. And like I said, you know, you got a good finger choil on this one, very good. Light jimping on the back of this, which makes it very useful for push cuts. You know, your thumb's not going to slide off of it, but at the same time, it's rounded so it doesn't chew up your thumb. So it's very comfortable to use and very gives you good dexterity. Handle, again, you know, if it ain't broke, why fix it? All of their handles has this very sweet, gentle palm swell, nicely curved and rounded, but not too rounded where it will roll in your hand, and gives you great comfort without any hot spots. And it's a good size. You know, my hand's small, so as you can see, there's good, generous amount of handle that I can move around and get some good leverage if I want to extend and get more physics behind my blade in chopping. You know, I can do that. I can choke up, like, you know, in the other blades. This is a little bit of a swedge up on the top that's non-sharpened, and yet still could allow you to get in there and do some skinning and some detail work. So Work Tuff Gears, just nailing the knives that they're putting out. They're coming out with just top great knives, and they're keeping it affordable for us folks who are on a limited budget, especially during this time of COVID-19 and the lockdown and many of us being out of work. We don't have all the bucks to spend on these knives. And this one sells for $140 on their website and on Amazon. Like I said, on Amazon you can get it with free shipping. If you order directly from Work Tuff Gears, you will pay for the shipping fee but no tax. So it's still well worth the money that you would spend. You're getting a high-end quality knife that's every bit as good as the higher priced knives like this one that's, you know, maybe $235. So somebody to think about. These guys are out on the market now, and they're here to stay. They're going to be around for a long time with the quality of knives that they're putting out. So as you are thinking about purchasing knives, please give Work Tough Gear a thought, because it's well worth it. They're putting out a great quality. Now, that will conclude this video. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about a collaboration that Victor and I are doing together in helping promote both of our businesses. I've designed a knife that I showed and shared with him, and he was willing to go to production with. So stay tuned for that next video. I'm going to be talking about that. Very exciting project. And until then, please like and subscribe on YouTube. Leave any comments there or questions. I'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, you can visit me on my Facebook page at Blue Dragonfly Trading Post. I haven't done the reviews yet, but I'm going to be doing reviews on each knife with my thoughts and with the measurements and all the various information on it. I did weigh each of these knives. For the Lamigo, blade only is 331 grams. With the scabbard, it's 462 grams. For the Tayal, you're talking about 246 grams without the sheath. With the sheath, it's 344 grams. And for the Lanzeta, which is the biggest one of these knives that I'm showing, it weighs in at, without the scabbard, 429 grams and 579 with the scabbard. So they're not heavy blades. They're very comfortable. They're light enough to be carried in a backpack or on your waist. So stay tuned for the next video. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Visit my page at Blue Dragonfly Trading Post, and you can also present any questions or comments there as well. And by all means, please visit my website at dragonflycookeryandknives.com. I'm not selling these on my website, at least not yet, and so this is just purely a review because I like these knives, and they really deserve your attention and your consideration for the quality of knives that they're producing. Now, the next knife that we are collaborating together, you will be able to find on my website and on Amazon and on their website as well. Stay tuned for that's coming up next. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay safe and secure out there. Wear your face masks. Remember, even though as businesses are starting up again, we still need to keep that safe distancing and keep one another safe, because there's still a lot of people coming down with COVID-19. It's starting to increase again, and we haven't even hit the flu season yet. So keep that in mind. Thank you very much for watching. Namaste. God bless. Stay tuned.